Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum with another episode of Found Footage Fridays.
Hello.
We took a short break. Steve and I both had a lot going on life-wise the last couple of weeks, but we are back on schedule and getting to some found footage movies we're very excited to talk about.
Oh yeah, some good ones too. This next couple of
some very summery ones.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of.
Right. Well, one's on July 4th.
Yes.
This one is very summery, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the other one's like summer vacation, right? So,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I moved, not 100% settled yet, but getting there. And Steve's husband just had surgery, so we're recovering from that. And
it's big life stuff.
Yeah, it's been crazy lately. But we're back talking about a subgenre that we love. And so that's really what it's all about. We didn't discuss which one we're going to do first, but I think we should do the July 4th one first because this episode, Well,
this week is before July 4th. Next week.
No, you're right then. Okay, so we'll do the other one first. My bad. I wasn't thinking about that.
Planning while we're recording. It's yeah. This is the peek behind the scenes.
We keep it real here at the Mausoleum. We don't I was just telling somebody the other day, I was like, we don't even really edit our videos anymore. We don't cut stuff out.
Yeah, there's like a serious flub.
Oh, sure.
But it's like purely unedited for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, the best compliment I've ever received regarding voices actually came from Steve, like eons ago now it feels like, but talking about it being like just chatting about things with your best friend, and that stuff's not edited. That's just like the hiccups and everything. So we're just like,
it is what it is. Yeah.
Whatever. No,
we don't focus on being super polished, and I think and that's not a hit on us. I just think, we like to just sort of keep it, keep it casual, keep it as authentic as possible.
Yes, and it is very much, we are very much like this all the time, even when we're not on camera. And I think that's, we're just trying to be true to ourselves and our own inner chaos. So the movie that we are talking about today is from 2021. It was my #1 movie for that year. It is technically a hybrid film, but it's our show, so we can do whatever we want. And so we're going to be talking about The Deep House.
Yeah.
So just, a quick synopsis. While diving in a remote French lake, 2 YouTubers who specialize in underwater exploration videos discover a house submerged in deep waters. Their dive turns into a nightmare when they discover the house was the scene of an atrocious crime. Yeah, so was this first watch for you?
This was, I didn't see it when it first came out.
Okay, so what were your thoughts first watch?
I really dug this movie. I feel like it deserved a theater release. I don't know how well it would have done in the theaters, but it deserved it. It deserved the shot. I think it was just a streaming movie, right? It was like a VOD release.
I think it was just VOD because I paid. So it's one I followed for like forever. Couldn't get a release, couldn't figure out when it was going to come out, wanted to see it. And then literally I saw somehow on social media seeing that it came out, and I went and rented it like the same day. I was like, I have to watch this movie. Like, it's so good. And it didn't get, if it did get theater, I don't think it got theater in the States because it's a French film, I think. So
is it technically French? It's in like both French and English.
It's in both languages, but I think the person who made it, I think, is French. I can't remember, but I don't think it got a States release in theaters. If it did, it was limited, but I don't think it did.
Yeah, I just thought it was so creative. It takes such a like tried and true, but somewhat like reused plot, right? Satanic-y stuff, crime stuff, haunted house.
Thematically, it's very hard,
but you take all of that and then you submerge it underwater. It just makes it so cool and so fresh. And they're able to do like really cool things with like movement and the camera and just the action. It just is so, it's a spectacle. I really was pleasantly surprised by the movie.
Yeah, and I've hyped this movie for years at this point. I should have worn my Deep House shirt. That's how much I love this movie. I paid $30 to have a shirt that just says the Deep House on it, um, with the movie poster on it. But I was staying on brand, so I didn't even think about it.
Which is
But
a great poster too, actually.
it's so cool with them swimming down to the house.
Down
It's
to the
so
house, yeah.
good. And so, yeah, like, okay, so it's technically like a hybrid. It's not 100% shot in a found footage style, but there's the content creating element. There's the cameras that they have with them. There's the, what's the submergible? What's that thing called?
Like the drone?
The drone, kind of underwater drone. Is that called something else? I don't know. Anyway,
Oh,
that
I don't
thing.
know.
It's really cool. And so those kind of things were very found footage and very like, it made it like, it checked a lot of boxes for me. And I completely agree with what you said. It literally takes a very tropey haunted house, you know, tragic story, kind of like very cliche thing, and kind of flips it on its head simply by putting it underwater. I mean, this entire house is underwater. They are trapped in a house that is sort of haunted. And it's underwater. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Like the way that this looks, the way this is shot, I would love like a full, like a 2-hour, 3-hour, like behind the scenes making of on this. Like I would kill to see something like that, because it really made for a unique experience with this.
Yeah, to like build out this house, put it in. They probably filmed it in like a tank, and like just sort of like how they filmed the Titanic, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually covered this with Radar and JR and Horror Fiend TVs for the houses that Horror built. They covered this, and they asked me, because JR knew I was a big fan of this one. And so Radar is like a French connoisseur. Like, he speaks French. He knows a lot about France. Like, he just knows a really big knowledge base. Yeah. And he was saying that they have like a whole, I think it was him that was saying it, they have like a whole place there where you can film movies underwater. Like, that's what it's for. Like, it's specifically designed to film underwater. But the other thing that makes this, I think, really effective is that with all the things that have happened there really are full villages and full houses and stuff underwater there. Like, that's a very real thing. And so, like, you know, you get to see the gate of the house, the cars, like, so cool, so cool.
There's like a real tourist element that people actually do go and look for these homes.
Yeah. So that was really, really, really cool. I love this movie. I thought it was so good.
And like the idea of like swimming away from a ghost is just so
crazy.
Like, it's crazy, right? It's so cool. It just adds like an extra element of tension, because I'm like, well, you know, you try to run away from the villain, the thing, right? Yeah. I'm like, well, then you think about how fast can you go, and you realize, oh man, how fast can I really swim? Not as fast as I can run.
And of course, and I think, of course, there's also the added thing of, you've got the being underwater is scary in general, especially for people like me. Water stuff is an immediate fear. You've got being trapped underwater. You've got the rising issue of, obviously anything underwater means they're going to run out of air. That's a give me,
right,
like,
watching the
And so you've got that. You've got the things chasing you. You've got, like, I mean, there's so many things. You've got things falling. Like, there's so many claustrophobia. Like, you can't see that well in certain areas. Like, it like kind of runs the gambit on all of the things that make people uncomfortable in horror movies. Like, and it's just done, it comes together so well for just like a really, really fun experience overall.
Yeah. I mean, even just the set design is really gorgeous too. Like you mentioned, I know you mentioned the front gate. Like, just the idea where they're like, how do we get into this house? And like they just swim up through like the attic window, and it just like it just adds such a dynamic. Like, just it adds such like a dynamic structure to it.
It does.
It had elements also that sort of reminded me of Grave Encounters.
I can see
that. With like the trapping, and like there was like a lot of like, where the house sort of feels a little more alive, and there's like sort of like, you know, like windows being blocked and things sort of like space being messed with.
No, I agree with that. I think I genuinely love this movie. I really have been a cheerleader for this movie since it came out. Like, it's one of, like, I feel like enough people didn't see this and didn't pay attention to it. And I'm like, because again, very cliche setup,
Mhm.
right? But then it's just such a like there's nothing else like it. Like I want more things like this, more haunted houses underwater or something. Like I want more
Yeah.
like it would be really, really cool. What do you rate this?
Oh, I'm like between like an 8.5 and a 9. I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with a 9. I think I'm gonna be fair. I think I'm gonna be like and actually like give it the good score. I'm always afraid to give a high score for some bizarre reason. I'm always
I
like,
know what you mean. Because then you feel pressure anytime you see a movie that's technically better, but you like a lot. Like you're just like, oh, but I don't. Yeah, I
I'm
get it.
gonna give it, yeah, I'm just gonna give it a 9. I really thought, as far as like of all the found footage I've seen with you thus far since joining Found Footage Fridays, like this is like one of my favorites that I've watched.
I love that. Yeah. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I think this is a perfect movie. I don't have a single complaint about it. I think
Yeah.
that if I were to have to, I would have to really nitpick and really overanalyze because I think it was unsettling. It was a fun experience as a horror fan, and it was so unique. And you know, like I'm an advocate for remakes and continuations and reboots. I don't really get angry about that, but I
Yeah.
do think sometimes it can be really difficult to find those nuggets of unique horror films that really just are a completely different thing
Yeah.
altogether. And I think this just checked so many boxes for me. There's a couple of the scenes that are shot in the found footage style that I just thought were beautifully done, like the chains. I won't say too much, but like the
Yeah.
chain scene was so well done. The opening scenes where they're going through at the very beginning of stuff. And I just I learned to really, really connect with the female lead. I thought she
Mhm.
was great. I think her boyfriend sucks, but I really like her. And I don't know, like I went into this knowing I was probably going to like it, and I walked away going, "This is something special. Like it's so
Yeah.
unique, and I'm dying for more stuff that really just pushes boundaries on a classic horror trope."
Yeah. What else has the director
I
done?
don't know.
So director Alexander Bustillo and Julian Maury.
I don't know.
Um did nothing, I don't see anything coming up for Alexander, but they did ABCs of Death 2, Inside. Oh, that was a messed up movie.
I didn't see that
Um
one.
and then
The baby one,
Julianne,
so I probably won't watch it.
yeah. And then Julianne did some of the same. It looks like they team up on a lot.
Well, they make a great
Slater.
team then.
Oh, Leatherface, that prequel. Julian directed that one.
I haven't
Um,
seen that.
I don't think it was as bad as people say it was. Plus, it's
Yeah.
got Lily Taylor in it, and I love her. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So
no, so yeah, nothing. I don't see anything coming up for them, but
I
they've
was
done a handful of things. They're really good. I mean, clearly, I think they definitely polished their style for sure.
yeah, I loved this. I thought this was so good. Like, yeah. Do you want to jump into spoilers?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't like the boyfriend because the description is like, oh, these two YouTubers. It's like she's not a YouTuber. She's really just doing it to be with her partner, and
Yeah.
he's like pressuring her and putting all this like when she goes down, when she's trying to test her time holding her breath.
Hmm.
And she lies and it's still not good enough. I was like, I hate him so much. She
Oh
was just immediately like, oh no. First of all, I don't care how much, like, I'm not going in the water to do nothing. Like,
yeah.
you're not gonna catch me.
Yeah.
But I just didn't like the dynamic that they had made it easier, I think, for me to connect with her, and just she kind of became the person I was rooting for. Whereas I
Mhm.
really ultimately didn't really care what happened to the boyfriend. What was his name? Ben. I was like, I
I
don't care
think
what happens
so.
to Ben. I
Yeah.
just want her to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
But man, okay, so we're talking about, like you said, talking about like being able to like having to swim away from the threat, right? There
Yeah.
is something like insanely uncomfortable about watching a human being body just walk like normal
Oh, through the
underwater.
water? Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, I have goosebumps. Like, I hated that in a good way. Like, it was so unsettling. I was
Yeah.
like, I am okay if I never see, like, it was so scary to me.
It is really creepy. It sort of brings up just those fears of like when you're a kid and you're in the pool and you think like for some reason there's going to be a shark in the pool, or like there's just going to be like there's just something creepy you
It's just
can't see under the
different.
water.
It's different.
Yeah, and then I mean it makes sense, right? Like a spirit's not going to be lifted by water, right? I mean they already are
Yeah,
sort
they
of
have more control, right? Over,
yeah.
I guess like over the environment or whatever. But
Mhm.
it's just like that bedroom scene when we see the mother walking through. I was like,
Oh yeah.
that was so scary to me. It was so scary. I was like, I really don't care for that. Like, I didn't really care what happened to Ben, but I was just like, yeah.
I know. And then yeah, well, you also brought up. I thought the chains was very effective. When they
The
just
song too, like,
the use of the song. There's always creepy French music or something.
yeah.
The use of the song, the chains sort of coming to life and being scratched, and when they see the couple hanging from there, like that was used very effectively.
I loved it.
Again, it's funny, right? Because something all of that would be very cliche in like another movie, but because they're doing something different with the environment, it just looks so dynamically different and cool.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I loved it so much. Like, there's I loved how, like, okay, I loved how there's like this very like you had said, kind of like the house was like its own entity, right? Like its
mhm,
own character, right? Because like when things are in water for long periods of time, they eventually go down.
right.
Like, usually, eventually, right? But in this house, things were still in place. And
Yeah.
instead of being like, oh, well, that's unrealistic, all it did was make me more unsettled because that's unnatural. It's not
Right.
supposed to be like that. There's like books still on the shelves, and like and like the kitchenette stuff. I mean, there was a few things that weren't like, it wasn't completely like pristine, right?
Right.
But there was something super unsettling about the way everything looked like they had just lived there yesterday. Like, there was just
Yeah.
something about that
Like it
was
was
so uncomfortable.
freshly flooded, right? Like it
Yes,
didn't,
yeah.
yeah, because like things weren't like bloated with water, things weren't as, I mean, I mean, it was I think an old French house, the way you would think, like it would be left, just not
Yeah.
damaged by the water as much as you think it would be, right?
No, for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. Like the house definitely felt like it, through like with the rituals and all the stuff, right? Through definitely took on its own personality. Like I was saying, like the nod to Grave Encounters. I mean, other
Yeah.
movies do this too, of course. But like
Yeah, yeah.
like windows blocking themselves and doors shutting themselves, like that. It definitely felt like it was trapping them in, and it wasn't
It's like
just the
part of it. Yeah.
spirits, right?
And there's that one part where the what is it, like the chimney caves in and they get
Mhm.
separated. That was one of those moments where it felt like the house did that on purpose because
Yeah.
it separated them. And then that's when Ben ended up in the upstairs bedroom by himself
Yes.
with the mom or whatever. So I felt like the house was like intentionally doing that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a lot of intention too, I think, right? Because, I mean, yeah, like you said already, like he's not a great boyfriend. He's not a good boyfriend.
He's super
Um,
not. He's
he's not a
very
good boyfriend.
much, yeah. Well, and the thing is like when it comes to the content creating stuff, like that's also not wrong. Like, that is how some content creators are. Like, they
Mhm.
don't care who they hurt, who they upset. Like, they just do whatever for the views, and that's all they
Yeah.
care about. And so in a way that felt very realistic, but I felt for her because she seemed like such a sweet person. Like,
Yeah.
I really liked her.
And the house plays on that, right? I mean, given that they intentionally like
Oh,
take
yeah.
over him, right? They take him over and they like, they actually kind of play on that wedge that already exists in their
Yep.
relationship, right?
To make her kind of succumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then well, I also just love sort of the twist of Pierre, right?
Yeah.
And him sort of leading them to the house.
Yeah. So I sort of like, I kind of figured There's a part like in the beginning when we see the picture of the family and there's 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that one of them was a little boy.
Right, right.
And then we got to the chained up parts. I was like, okay, so he's got to be the other member of the family. Like he has to be. That's the only thing that makes any sense, because there was already something super unsettling. Look, if you're watching this, if you're touristing, if you're going around to places where you don't know anybody and you're not from the area, don't just follow.
You pay some random dude to bring you somewhere.
Some random old guy to, please don't do that. This is my PSA. Don't do that. So yeah, but I kind of figured it out. But I did like the ritual side of it, the cult themes. I did like, that basically they were taking people's kids and killing them for ritualistic reasons. And the town was like, enough, and came in, did all, and managed to get the husband, the wife, and the daughter. Yeah. And then Pierre escaped and ultimately is bringing people back to essentially finish what they were working on or doing or whatever before. But I did really like that story element. And maybe by then you're supposed to know. I know it's before the big reveal that Pierre is the son, but I did figure that out a little earlier in the film. But I wasn't necessarily mad about it, because you still have to learn the rest of the story. So
no, I mean, it's still part of the story, right? I mean, whether the twist is like shocking or not is like, I never judge it based on like whether I'm surprised or not. It's more of like,
sure, no.
Like, does it make sense?
Does it work? And does
it work as part of the story?
He needs to be connected, otherwise it doesn't work. So
otherwise it just sort of feels silly that he's just like, oh yeah, I know this place.
And just happens to be the situation. Yeah, no, I think in this situation, it makes sense. I think we've gotten spoiled because we've had such great horror films that have had such incredible twist that sometimes we do, like, I know I'm guilty of this. I'll go in assuming that there is one, but horror can work even without a giant twist ending or, and I think, but I really like
slashers don't. Most slashers, I mean, unless it's Scream, I mean, like Halloween.
Yeah, that's true. No, they,
I mean, plenty of horror doesn't run on twists, right? But,
and
M. Night Shyamalan, I think, started that.
Yeah. Well, my first exposure to that was The Others.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then Saw. And those two just broke the mold on twist endings. Like, where you're just like,
absolutely.
Like you can't. Yeah. So, what did you think of the ending of this though, with her not making it?
I was sad, right?
Me like too.
She's so close. I mean, you get these beautiful shots of her swimming up, which is like opposite of the poster, right? And you think she's gonna make it, right? But I guess then you remember she lied about her breath.
That's true. She can't do it.
She can't do it, right? But you hope that she does. And then I was bummed that she didn't make it. Obviously, I mean, does it work for the story? Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have a bummer ending.
Yeah, I had to sit on it for a few days. I was really mad, but I think that that's a testament to the way the film made me connect to her. I really cared about her as a character, and I really wanted her to be successful. I really wanted her. And I think they also did a really good job. And I think it has to do with kind of what you were saying with the way you get these shots where they really hype you up, making you think she's going to make it out.
Oh yeah.
And then at that last second, she doesn't. And you're just like, as a viewer, you're just like, no. Like, one more breath. You don't got one more kick in you. Like, you kind of, you're hoping that it's not going to go that way, but it does. And it's
like the lake isn't that deep. It's not like you're in like the trench of the ocean.
No, I think, after sitting with it for a few days after I'd seen it the first time, I was just like, yeah, that's how it needed to end. I think. I just think that makes the most sense. But. And I'm all for bleak endings. I don't need rainbow happy bow endings, but I was bummed. It stuck with me, for a couple of days after I'd seen it, which not all films do. So that's a testament to the writing for sure, I think. And the shot.
Absolutely. And by like the lore of the movie, at least I'm assuming at least her spirit's not trapped in the house by the fact that she died outside of the house. The boyfriend's probably down there and that's okay.
Yeah, well, who cares? He sucks.
Yeah, he's
it would be good if she could if she's just free, that'd be good because I was really bummed out that she died. But I think it sense. I'm not, I'm not bitter about it at all. I think it was what needed to happen given the storyline. But yeah, I love this movie. I think
and it was the post-credits scene, right, as well,
with Pierre bringing more
Pierre and
people.
the other people. Yeah,
Yeah,
he brings like a couple of girls to the
that
lake,
didn't
right?
even look of age. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he did I don't remember them even having gear with them to dive. I guess they did.
I don't remember it either.
I don't remember, but
But
I
I
was
was
like,
just
oh,
like, ugh, stop it.
stop it, Pierre. Go get a hot dog at the beach. Like,
Just take a vacation day, man. Like,
I love it.
well, sure, your family can't do anything. They're at the bottom of the, the lake or whatever.
Yeah, it's like you're free
Live
from
your
that.
life.
Leave. Go to
You-
Disneyland. Like,
Disneyland. Yeah.
yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I'm trying to remember like the end goal of sort of them keeping it going. What is
Well,
Peter's motive?
I think it's just related to where they want their souls to end up, right? I mean, they're doing
Mhm.
them as sacrifices for the
Right.
betterment of themselves. And
Mhm.
so I think it's probably just a way to be not trapped there anymore at that point. But I think it's just to take them into wherever they're trying to go. I don't know.
I mean, hell, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Some dimension. I don't know.
Yeah.
But but overall, I really loved it. I know this is technically a Blumhouse. This is a Blumhouse
It
TV.
is.
But well, which is very interesting, right? I find very much that movies that Blumhouse seems to be throwing to VOD, I'm like, you could be replacing some of the things you put in theaters with these movies. Between this, there was the Torn Hearts with Kay Segal.
Yeah.
And then there's they do a bunch of these TV movies that I'm like, you should be putting.
They would be better than some of the ones you're putting in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what dictates that anyway. Like, I don't know if it's just based because they don't think they'll get the numbers or.
I don't know. Or Blumhouse is technically not the producer, but maybe they're the distributor. I don't know. Like,
yeah. Maybe it has something to do with that. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, but
because
I
it's
don't
a
know.
French film. Like Blumhouse, I guess, can make it.
I feel like it probably would have done okay with a big release. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're worse than like their PG-13 ones.
Well, that's the thing. This movie was probably made for like a very small budget. Meaning whatever you made, you're gonna get a return on it. Like, just
I think it would have been worth it to give it and I can't even imagine seeing this on a big screen. That would be like intense.
It would look great.
It would. Yeah, I don't know.
It makes me think of those like IMAX movies we would go see where they were like, we're gonna take you in, into the
where you're like a part of the thing. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, no, an underwater movie on the big screen, I feel like is the best. It's just the best.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, well, I think that's our thoughts on the Deep House. Next week, a day after July 4th, we'll be celebrating July 4th by discussing the 2000
Oh, I can tell you, 2012.
2012. I'm gonna say 2011. I was close. 2012 found footage horror movie, The Bay,
which takes place on 4th of July. So, and we didn't plan that.
Yes, worked out great. So it's not streaming. If you want to watch it before we talk about it, being the avid fans that you are, you do have to rent it. And I don't always say this, but it's worth it. It's good. The Bay is one of the most underrated found footage films in existence. I do not know why more people just don't go crazy talking about it, but we'll be back next week talking about that. And then, back on schedule, I think, after that. So, okay. Well, that's all I have for this episode of Found Footage Fridays. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Have a great week coming up, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.